Hi, welcome back. This is technically the second video, but the last video felt more like a episode 0, so I'm going to briefly go over the account just one more time for any new viewers. The main goal is basically just to play through RuneScape as a wizard in kind of an RP fashion. So how does that actually translate to gameplay restrictions? The first thing is going to be our gear restriction. It's pretty straightforward. If it has a negative attack bonus for magic, I can't use it. Weapons, all magic weapons are allowed, obviously. I am a wizard after all. As for ranged, I do want to have access to all 3 damage types, so all thrown weapons are going to be available to me. However, for standard and heavy, I can only use salamanders and chinchompas. As for melee, obviously I can use my staff for bashing, but I also have a dagger I can use as well as claws. With these restrictions, I should be able to complete most of what the game has to offer, albeit with some difficulty compared to a normal account. The actual goals that we have in mind is to increase our magic repertoire. As a wizard, we should know as many spells as possible. So currently we start with a standard spellbook, but we'll need to complete Lunars, Ancients, as well as unlocking the additional spells for the Lunar spellbook and the Arceus spellbook. And while gear like Mystic can be pretty easy to get early on, and has a significant magic bonus that should allow us to complete most of our quests to unlock our new spells, we're gonna need something a little more powerful when it comes to bossing. Maybe some specific defenses, stronger attributes. Mystic's just not gonna cut it in the long run, so we're gonna need to find better gear. That also does include finding special weapons such as the Staff of the Dead, the Twin Flame Staff, hell, maybe even the Nightmare Staff if I'm lucky enough. But for now, we're gonna focus on getting unlocks for our magic spellbooks. And to briefly recap how the account came along, we basically did the basic quests at the start like Witch's Hut, Waterfall, Tree Gnome Village, and Tourist Trap to help increase our beginning stats. We unlocked Canifis and hard focus 70 agility and getting full graceful. Farm Castle Wars for the drip that I'm wearing right now. We also got our overheads by AFKing at the Camdozel Ruins, doing that little fishing prayer minigame. Really good for when I'm AFK at work. I've done other various skilling training, basically off a whim, and for quest requirements for things like unlocking the Blast Furnace and the Tithe Farm. Then we've trained our Hunter up to 74 so we can more reliably catch Moonlight Moths, solving a very common problem with Iron Men and not having prayer potions in large quantities. That should allow us to do a lot of bossing and content way easier than a normal Iron Man would have been able to. The last thing we did, we camped Wealthy Citizens for easy clues, mainly to get myself a book of law, but that book escaped me for a long time. We ended up getting pretty much every other book but the Unholy book during that process. And with that wrapped up, that's pretty much where we're at right now. We're working towards getting our Lunar spellbook eventually, so stick around. Alright, so we completed Morning's End Part 2 up until the part where we actually need to get the Death Talisman, which I'm not actually going to do. The only reason we really wanted to complete Morning's End Part 2 was to be able to craft Death Runes. However, I'm not at the rune crafting level anyways, and the only time I'll need it again is at 65 when I'm doing Guardians of the Rift. Well, I'd like to do Guardians of the Rift, but it's kind of hard when you're using pouches and you don't have NPC contact, because then you're having to run back to the Dark Mage all the time, which is not fun. So our next goal is going to be Lunar Diplomacy. However, we do need a lot of skills for that. Crafting is the one that's kind of probably going to suck the most. Defense is just Gemstone Crab, or I might complete some quests to go do Ammonite Crabs. A little bit faster XP, and I can actually use the drops from there. Fire makings, whatever. And the magic, I kind of want to level it at Scurious, just because there's a lot of good loot that you get from there, and XP is pretty good. The only problem is you go through an absurd amount of Chaos Runes. And at the moment, my Chaos Runes kind of lacking in them. Buying them for like 90k each, well, not each, for 1,000 of them technically I could. I do have roughly 3 mil saved up from doing Wealthy Citizens, but I might just get the already mediums out of the way. Only have to do a few quests to unlock everything for that. And then probably just hit Paladins for a while. Since they do give, what, 4 Chaos Runes with the Rogue set? I'll probably be good for a good while. I'm at 86 thieving at the moment. I am currently buying more butterfly jars. Very good for Iron Man supplies with the Moonlight and the Snowy Nights. There is one thing though I do wish we had in the game, that is butterfly jar packs. I mean, we can get vials, vial jar packs, which are really good. We have actually vials of water packs, but we don't have butterfly jar packs, despite all of the brand new butterfly content we've had for Farthermore. It makes sense, but I guess we'll just have to keep running 27 back at a time. Honestly, Moonlight Moths are so good for Iron Man. I highly recommend that if you start an Iron Man account, the first thing you do is try to pump out a high hunter level. 73 minimum is what you need to really get Moonlight Moths. You'll need 2 Trapper Temples, but they do spawn as soon as you enter in down here. 74 will make it so you only need 1 boost to last you for the entire session of collecting them. And obviously 75 will be best. Moonlight Moths do act as prayer potions, gives what, 21? It is regardless of your prayer level, which is different compared to normal prayer potions. Which on top of them being fairly difficult for Iron Man to attain early game, aside from actually farming Ranards or having Miscellanea up and running. Having that 21 at an early prayer level, currently I am at 48. I'm pretty sure, see, like in the 50s or 60s that you start healing 21 plus. You're basically getting more prayer per sip with the Moonlight Moth mixes than you would have if you were using a prayer potion. Obviously the prayer potion is going to give you more per inventory slot, but these are also completely free to get, so way better in my opinion than trying to rush prayer potions. And even if you're not using the Moonlight Moth mixes, because they do require a hunter meat to actually make the mix itself, you can just use the regular Moonlight Moth in a jar. It is still that 21 prayer restored, and it's great for low intensity activities. If you're not using a whole lot of prayer, there's no need to really maximize the amount of prayer per inventory slot you have. Cost effectiveness aside, there is almost like a mental aspect to it too. If you're running Scurrius, for example, you're kind of in the state of, oh, I should preserve my prayer, I should probably be flicking these attacks, I shouldn't just be holding it. Because your prayer potions are so limited as an Iron Man early on. But having the Moonlight mixes just brings a huge burden off your mind, knowing that you can just sip your prayer pots whenever, however many times you need, and not really have to worry about the cost, because they are so easy to get back. It really is probably one of the best things you could do on an Iron Man. Alright, there's 49 fire making. That is enough to do... not that one. Lunar Diplomacy here. Take that off our to-do list. However, we will keep going for that 50 fire making so we can finish our RD mediums. Alright, there is 50 fire making. Does unlock Winter Tot, but is also our requirement for Traveler Castle Wars. So we just need to finish Enlightened Journey and Watchtower. Enlightened Journey done. Farming level's great. Now we just need to fly to what was it? Castle Wars? I have to go to Intrana first. I think it's... If I remember off the top of my head, I think I need willow logs for that. I'll have to double check. Okay, I was wrong. It's actually... Willow logs is used for the trip to the Barak Lumberyard, which is why I remember willow logs so often. What we actually need is yew logs, which I think I have. I only have 8, actually. I need 10. I think Green Manzale only gives a +1. I'm hoping it gives +2, otherwise I'm going to find a way to get yew logs. Alright, so it wasn't Green Manzale, it was Axeman's Folly, and it does only give a +1. Plus, getting a +1 might not be enough to actually get a yew log. It'd be a lot of boosting for nothing, so we're going to be here chopping maples, just basically doing the new fletching minigame here, working on my woodcutting at the same time as doing the fletching minigame. I would like to get that fletching knife before I hit up Wintertot eventually. So I'll be here for a while, and we'll see you guys in a bit when I get 60 woodcutting. I ended up doing my fletching and woodcutting on my phone that night, so I don't have any direct recordings of it happening. However, we did get 60 fletching, and we finished 60 woodcutting not long after. We used those logs to help do our arty medium task of flying to Castle Wars. Unfortunately, no footage of that either, but it's pretty simple to understand. We made the mithril grappling hook because we had to grapple over the Yanil southern wall. I thought I needed to use a mithril crossbow for it, but turns out you only needed a bronze crossbow. So it was a bit of a waste of time, but in the end we got it done. The last thing we had to do was to gather nightshade from these Scavid caves, which I figured I might as well just complete Watchtower all the way through, get the quest done, get the teleport unlocked, so there's that. And we finished our arty mediums. Got that cloak and we hit up paladins for a little bit. I was excited to use my new cloak and the 10% thieving buff to try and get some chaos runes because we were very low at the time. I needed it to continue my magic training over at Scurious. So I got 1,000 of those and promptly went over to Scurious to fight, but it was not a very good time. I ended up actually grabbing myself a Wizard's Mind Bomb and sneaking into the Wizards Guild to steal myself a set of Mystic Robes. Went back to Scurious and things were way better with that. With fire making and magic now out of the way, it's time for us to train our defense. I figured I'd go for all of my combat stats up to 60 while AFK at the Gemstone Crab. So we completed Death Plateau, got ourselves some climbing boots, and started AFKing. Alright, we got ourselves 60 attack there from AFKing at the Gemstone Crab while I've been editing, which means I can finally equip Dragon Dagger. And we can start training defense. Special attacks as well, which is grand. No audio right now though on my end due to, well, if you've been to Gemstone Crab. Hearing that constantly while working is not fun. But now we're working on our defense. Alright, we are actually about to finish up our 60 defense here. Been doing Gemstone Crab while I've been editing the video. And there it is, 60 defense. At this point, I'm probably just gonna keep leveling strength while I work on the video. So I have base 60s for all my combats for the time being. We'll just push strength as high as it goes, so be a little bit easier to train my combat stats when I actually are actively playing later on. That way I can at least get some good progress while continuing the editing. All that we have left for our requirements to do Lunar Diplomacy is 61 crafting. I'm pretty close, but I'm absolutely not going to be doing any glass smelting on this account. I absolutely despise doing glass smelting, and I can't really make dragon hides at the moment either because I don't have blue dragon hide unlocked. So we're thieving gems here in WizardLuna. You actually get 200k thieving XP an hour doing this, and the gems are really good for getting your crafting EXP. At least in my opinion it is. But once we unlock dragon hide, it'll be a little bit easier. Goodness, there goes all my notifications, but we now have 61 crafting, which means we can finally do Lunar Diplomacy, which is in the L section here. That's not green. There it is. Finally all good to go. So I'll be getting that done as soon as I can. I actually still have a lot of gems left over. I had about 700-ish. We still have 422 sapphires left, a lot of emeralds, and we've been making mainly those sapphire rings. I can't really enchant them right now because we have 13 cosmic rings, but those eventually will serve to feed a ring of suffering down the road. We finally got all the skills out of the way, but we still had to complete Pharaonic trials before we can do Lunar Diplomacy. I didn't remember that this was a very long quest, so it took me a while to do it. Got footage of me fighting the dragon here. Thankfully with our dragon dagger and better stats and of course the prayer flicking, it was pretty easy of a fight. Koshe was a little bit different, but I mean it goes about the same as everyone else, but we'll get to that. I just finished the merchant's trial. I totally forgot it. Basically a miniature one small favor. Probably a reason why I didn't remember it in the first place. I don't really have a use for the reward from it aside from the aesthetics of having it as my weapons tab icon, but I'm gonna try and beat Koshe the Deathless. I've got 11 Rings of Recoil at the moment, Ruby Harvest, Black Warlock, Sapphire Glacis, and a bunch of food, so we'll see how it goes. Well, maybe I brought too many Rings of Recoil. Plus having the butterflies mean that I don't lose any ticks when I'm fighting them either, because they have no tick delay. So I should have a plugin for this. Oof. I'm gonna turn that off. It's giving me tinnitus. I may not have enough food. I think I brought too many rings again. Sick. Jarkar. Alright, that was a little longer than I remember it being. But it's time now for Lunar Diplomacy. I think I have a Marintil in the bank, but I'll have to double check. I did have a grimy Martel, so that was pretty easy. I also have access to the fire altar, because I have a fire talisman, or a fire tiara, but it's not telling me I do. However, I don't have anything for the water altar. So we're killing these guys until we get a talisman. A ninja impling just flew by while I was trying to get those, that water talisman. See if I can find him real quick. There he is. Had to go back and grab a net. I can't use this at all. Alright, didn't take too long after the ninja impling, but finally got our water talisman. I don't think I need the thread, because I think I can use a custom needle, but I'm gonna buy it just in case. But with that, we're all ready to start lunar diplomacy. Compared to doing the Fremennik trials, lunar diplomacy was a complete cakewalk. I kind of forgot how much of a pushover me is though, and I definitely over-prepared for that fight. Regardless, with the quest done, we finally have access to Lunars, which is the key to farming Guardians of the Rift. There's just one problem though. I don't have the magic level to cast NPC Contact yet. Technically, I could just bring a ton of wizard mind bombs and pot up every time I needed to cast it, but that's lame. So we went back to Ye Olde Rat and squeezed out a few magic levels from him yet again. As a wizard, Guardians of the Rift and runecrafting are extremely essential for the account's future progress. I won't need to spend so much money on high-level catalytic runes, and will be able to make them whenever I need more. Chaos and Death runes in particular are going to be very useful for Tokul generation, which I'm going to need to buy a lot of those obsidian rings. Not to mention, it'll be my only reliable way of acquiring Wrath runes for surge spells, but that in itself is going to be a major ordeal that I'll cover in a later video. For the time being, we'll be at Guardians of the Rift. Our main goals are the full raiment set, Abyssal Needle, and the Elemental and Catalytic Talismans. If we get anything extra, it would be nice, but it's not essential. Once we hit 77, we're going to be doing Bloods over at Zaya. We'll probably do that until 99. If you watched to the very end, thank you. It means a lot to me. I'll be hard at work trying to become Gielinor's greatest wizard, and I hope you all enjoy my journey as much as I do.